Good evening, this is Camnet News. Thank you so much for choosing us. My name is Sharon Kalimbula. The top stories on our desk this evening: CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI castigates President Hakainde Hichilema for shunning the wreath-laying ceremony on KK Day. The Agriculture Institute of Zambia warns against misinformation on agriculture. The church expresses worry over infiltration of fake preachers. In international news, head of East African Peacekeeping Force in the Democratic Republic of Congo resigns, citing harassment. And in sports news, Zambia Youth and Schools Chess Championship kickstart at OYDC in LUSAKA.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. RenGlow, your smart irrigation partner.
For immediate coverage of any breaking or latest news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet television, call the numbers on your screen. Camnet television, bringing to your screens fair news, impartial news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. Camnet Television, not just another channel.
The news in detail. The Opposition Patriotic Front presidential hopeful CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI has called on President Hakainde Hichilema to apologize to the Zambian people for failing to attend the wreath-laying ceremony on the commemoration of Kenneth Kaunda Day. Speaking to the media shortly after the wreath-laying ceremony at the presidential burial site, Mr. KAMBWILI says the day, which is meant to celebrate the life of the country's founding father, has been turned into a sham. Meanwhile, government says it will not be political, as this day is meant to celebrate the life of a man that contributed massively to the country. Vice President Mutale Nalumango says the United Party for National Development Administration has no shame to follow some of the wonderful principles that Dr. Kenneth Kaunda did, such as the promotion of peace and unity. This year's Kenneth Kaunda Day is being commemorated under the theme KK the Unifier.
Friday, different dignitaries gathered at the presidential burial site, Embassy Memorial Park in Lusaka, to commemorate Kenneth Kaunda Day. Zambia's founding father, Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, the first president of Zambia, died on the 17th of June 2021. The 28th of April, known as Kenneth Kaunda National Day, was designed to honor him. Vice President Mutale Nalumango led the government officials, members of the diplomatic corps, and opposition leaders in the wreath-laying ceremony this morning. In attendance also was former Republican President Edgar Lungu and the former First Lady Esther Lungu. Just like many others, the Vice President says government remembers Dr. Kaunda as a gallant man whose works contributed massively to the country. Government also said it will not be political, as this day is meant to celebrate the life and wonderful principles that Dr. Kaunda did, such as the promotion of peace and unity.
I don't want to know politics. It's a day for Kaunda. It's a good day. He did great things. Peace, unity, development. And therefore, this government has an opportunity, because Kaunda is gone. We have no shame to follow some of the wonderful principles that he did. And therefore, the government of President Hakainde Hichilema has to work on this. And we we are working on those. Peace, unity, development, free education.
Some of the diplomats spoken to had this to say over how they remember Dr. Kaunda.
Remarkable human being, a remarkable leader. He won Zambia's independence from my nation, and he won the respect of my nation. He laid the foundation for Zambia as a nation, for Zambia's future, the foundation based on peace, the foundation based on unity, the foundation based on development through education.
Meanwhile, opposition Patriotic Front presidential aspirant CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI wonders why the Republican President Hakainde Hichilema avoided to be present for such an important event and instead opted to travel to Luposonshi to thank the people who voted for the UPND in the just-ended council chairperson by-elections.
How can you celebrate Kaunda's Day without the Republican President? This is a sham. The President has gone to Luposonshi to thank people who voted for him in a by-election of a councillor, leaving Kaunda's Day. This should not be tolerated, Zambians. This should not be tolerated. The President owes the people of Zambia and the world an apology. I don't want to hide my feelings. This is embarrassing. The President should have been there. More especially, it is the first time it is happening. And to honor Kaunda, who did so much for Zambia, the President should have been here. I don't think this is right. I don't think this is right. So to me, this day is a missed call.
This year's Kenneth Kaunda Day was being commemorated under the theme, KK the Unifier. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Meanwhile, United Party for National Development says government has revived the free education policy by the Zambia's founding president, Dr. Kenneth Kaunda. UPND Secretary General Batoke Emenda says President Kaunda wanted Zambians to attend quality education that would in turn help him achieve his dream of taking the country to higher levels. Speaking this morning in Chililabomwe, Mr. Emenda says Dr. Kaunda introduced free education, which he believed was key ingredient in attaining economic freedom. Mr. Emenda says that the New Dawn government has appreciated what Dr. Kaunda did at independence by bringing in free education. The party's Secretary General further says President Hakainde Hichilema has seen it fit and opt to bring back the free education policy, and a lot of children who were languishing in the streets are now back in schools. The country is today commemorating Kenneth Kaunda Day, which falls on the 28th of April.
To tell the nation that on this day, which we are observing as a country, I'd like to remind the nation that Kaunda in the league with the Nyereres of this world, Mwalimu Nyerere, people like Kwame Nkrumah, people like Jomo Kenyatta, those were the people in the league of Kaunda, and they were fighting to liberate Africa. They brought the wind of change to the continent, and other continent, today we are all free. So when a day of this nature is observed, we should observe it knowing the sacrifices Kaunda and his colleagues did to this country. One would say that today, as New Dawn government, we have appreciated what Kaunda did at independence by bringing in free education. The person speaking to you right now is the beneficiary of free education. Today, President Hakainde Hichilema has seen it fit and opt to bring back free education. And as it is, a lot of children who were languishing in the streets are now back to school. That's again in memory of Kaunda.
The National Union of Public and Private Educators of Zambia, NUPEZ, says as part of being remembered as a politician, Zambia's founding president, Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, should also be remembered as a good teacher who contributed in the education sector. In an interview, NUPEZ General Secretary Nelson Mwale says the country cannot celebrate Kenneth Kaunda National Day without noting his works in the education sector. He adds that Dr. Kaunda was a qualified teacher and taught a number of schools for years before attending the higher office of presidency.
We are saying Kenneth Kaunda must be remembered. But we are saying, in as much as Kenneth Kaunda is being eulogized and remembered as a freedom fighter, as a liberator, as somebody that brought the freedoms and liberties that we are enjoying now, we must know that Kenneth Kaunda was actually a teacher, and he must be remembered as a teacher. Many of the times I've heard him being eulogized as a politician and so on, but many people don't remember that Kenneth Kaunda was actually a teacher, and he must be remembered sometimes as a teacher who contributed to the welfare of this nation.
Political activist Dante Saunders has advised politicians to learn from the late former Republican President Dr. Kenneth Kaunda's fight against corruption. In an interview with Camnet News, Mr. Saunders says most of the cabinet ministers who served during the time of Dr. Kaunda have died poor because there were no looting public resources. He says corruption will never be fought in the country if people do not learn how it was done in the past. The political activist says the legacy that Dr. Kaunda has left behind is desirable and should be a motivating factor to all office bearers.
If you look at how did we live during the Kaunda time, I can tell you we had our problems, yes, but we didn't have corruption. We didn't have tribalism creeping in our issues. Politicians today want to use tribalism as an excuse to say why they can't get into power. Dante Saunders stands as I want to be a president of this country, and nobody votes for me. I can't say to the people of Zambia that you are not voting for me because I'm a colored. No, you're not voting for me because one, you don't believe in me. Two, you don't trust me. And many of these issues come into play. You need to earn the respect of people. And you have to start a political party from down. During Kaunda's time, there was no way anyone could stand up and insult the president. You would be locked up immediately. But democracy brings it so that anyone can stand up and talk ill about the president, current presidents that you're having. There are so many things that we can learn from President Kaunda.
Some Copperbelt residents have demanded that government makes a quick decision on the challenges Konkola Copper Mines PLC and Mopani Copper Mines have been facing. The residents who came from different parts of the Copperbelt province have lamented that life has been challenging since the previous government placed KCM under liquidation. They claim that giving back Vedanta resources to KCM will be a step in the right direction, adding that the assets need recapitalization. Quito-based clergyman Pastor Simon Kiboko says the government should give Vedanta resources back KCM in order to boost the economy of Copperbelt and the country at large. And Pastor Charles Chileche, also from Quito, said the challenges at the two mines are really resulting in adverse poverty for the local people. Pastor Chileche noted that prostitution and divorces are skyrocketing on the Copperbelt because people do not have any source of income as the mines are not performing accordingly. Meanwhile, Christopher Nkata from Chilabombe district says the people on the Copperbelt are still waiting for the promises made by government that Vedanta resources will soon be given back to the people. Let's look at this few we captured.
Bantu nga Copperbelt kwashintirira pama mines. So kulomba kwanti kwa kwevati vakateka nga kuti va pushinga kwa valolekesha pama mines. the whole copper belt kwebati batwafirishako tuli n'abaana abareeringa okutamba obwombe ekito mu mine n'abafyashi in short nalalanda okwebati abali twafirishe kwama mines atampa okubomba wati nsala yalache papandu mulandu wa kugana bomba obulofu abwapitirira nabuleta ensala abaana nabengira nomba magroups mumu balepanga magroups abwe bati balerwafi balekolwa abaana ifofwe bana mayo natuchuliramu 05 yalevuka na mayo aliamu kushita tomato kuleta pa market hapo na pena pa market ndialabula tomato pantu kushita mpya na sho elo futi bashitata na baru kama first bonds manganda nombe barwike nomba ma first bonds ma families mlandu wako ibati tabare bomba bana ma nombe barwike kwati bashitata mayanda so that weekend bwino tulelombo kwebati ama mines kesi emopani fitambo kuchita operate pakutaba na bashitata babwekele mu nchito.
A request to the government to help us reopening the mine sites so that we can have people in the mine so that they can boost the economy of the country. Otherwise, even the churches were not operating well due to these things. So we are here to ask the government, people in authority to come in and
The Agriculture Institute of Zambia has warned that it will not allow impersonators to continue giving professional advice in the agriculture sector and misleading the public. Speaking at a media briefing in Lusaka Friday, Institute Vice President Mark Mbunji says the Institute will also not allow institutions of learning not registered with it to continue training agriculture professions. Ms. Mbunji says the Agriculture Institute of Zambia has now been launched and is keen at ensuring that order is brought back in the agriculture sector, which has for many years remained unregulated, according to him. Meanwhile, Institute Registrar Matthews Ngosa says penalties will be effected on all those who fail to comply with the laid-down procedure in ensuring that they are registered with the Institute. Details in this report.
An act to establish the Agriculture Institute of Zambia provide for the registration of agriculture professionals and regulates their professional conduct in the interest of the agricultural sector and provide for matters connected with or incidental to the foregoing. However, the Agricultural Institute has over the years been silent in their role, which has resulted in unregistered and non-agriculture professionals commenting on matters they have no knowledge about, thereby misleading the public. The institution says enough is enough, as it has now been relaunched to ensure that professionalism is brought back into the agriculture sector. And addressing the media in Lusaka Friday, Institute Vice President Mark Mbunji has since sent a warning to would-be offenders to be on the lookout, as the institution will not allow indiscipline in the sector.
Because as you have heard, without registration, you will not be able to practice. And this is a new order. And being members of the press, I'm sure you have heard a lot of agricultural statements. They are the seller, because they affect life. We all depend on the sector. But this institute has come to bring order so that every statement that is passed has been scrutinized in the analytical eyes of the professionals. Tell them to check their list to make sure that the agricultural professionals register.
Meanwhile, Institute Registrar Matthews Ngoma says the institution will begin to enforce penalties on all those who will be found abrogating the law.
And in particular, agricultural professionals, agricultural corporates, small and medium enterprises involved in agriculture, non-governmental organizations engaged in agriculture, consultancies, agricultural programs, academic institutions involved in the training of agricultural professionals, and agriculture-related employee agents, including those offering any agriculture-related trainings on any physical or social media platforms, hereby notified.
that the long-awaited agricultural institute of Zambia is now complete and functional.
The Institute has since advised on non-governmental organizations dealing in the agriculture sector to ensure that they employ agriculture professionals who are registered to ensure that they operate within the confines of the law. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
The Federation of Free Trade Union in Zambia has called on government to start inspecting companies to see if they're remitting NAPSA contributions for their workers. Union President Chingati Msisha, who joined other stakeholders in commending President Hakainde Hichilema for signing into law the National Pension Scheme Authority Amendment Bill of 2023, which allows partial withdrawal of pensions, says there is need to ensure that every worker benefits from this law in the future. Mr. Msisha says there is an urgent need to ensure that the Ministry of Labour inspects companies and see which ones are not paying NAPSA for their workers. He has observed that employers have been failing to remit employees' contributions as provided for by the National Pensions Act.
Our take on the partial withdrawal from the Federation of Free Trade Union of Zambia is that, it's a good move, so to speak, where people would want to get their money, because obviously in the past we have seen people dying, leaving their money, their pension money, which they had worked for. And to us as the labor movement, we are looking at a situation where this partial withdrawal is going to be done to make great investment and improve the welfare of the worker. It's not just money to be gotten and just spent carelessly. So it's a caution again to the worker out there that the money, yes, it's their money, it's our money. We need to withdraw. We do a partial withdrawal. It has been now made into law. We shouldn't be excited over it, but let's get it and use it, put it into good use.
In other news, the Zambia Institute of Human Resource Management has warned that it will start inspecting companies to check if all those that are operating as resource personnel are registered with the Institute. Institute President Moffat Nyerinda has warned that all those practicing human resource and are not registered with the Institute will now face prosecution. Mr. Nyerinda says through the Inspectorate Division, the Institute will recruit more inspectors to enforce provisions of the law for the practitioners, enterprises and other workplaces. Last year, President Hakainde Hichilema assented to the Zambia Institute of Human Resource Management Bill after it was passed by Parliament.
Act number 3 of 2022, which is the Zambia Institute of Human Resource Management Act number 3, which was enacted by our President on the 8th of April. Everyone who is practicing human resource management in Zambia must be registered and certified by our institute. Okay, and in that law, it is now illegal. You can actually be jailed. You can actually be jailed. You can pay a fine. You can pay a fine and be jailed for illegally practicing HR. So through our Inspectorate Division, which given the law that has come, our membership has swelled. We are sitting as an institute to build the inspectorate, to recruit more inspectors. And also we are doing joint inspection together with the Ministry of Labour, our parent ministry. And in there, amongst the other things that we're checking that have got to do with the workplace, we're also checking who is supporting this business or company in as far as human resource management and development is concerned. Are they registered with us? If they are not registered with us, we're taking them on. It's a beginning, but the law is there. I take this opportunity through this interaction with you, the media, to urge the public out there. Now it's a requirement that everyone who's practicing HR must be a registered member with the Zambia Institute of Human Resource Management. And if you work in their offices, even you as place people, an HR practitioner by law must display their practicing license. And that practicing license must be valid for 2023. That's when, if they are practicing with an invalid certificate, that is again, that's a crime against the laws of Zambia.
The Evangelical Fellowship of Zambia has alleged that the church is under attack, as can be seen through the infiltration of men and women of God who have no standing with God. Speaking at the ordination of candidates at Impact Church in Lusaka Friday, EFC Executive Director Bishop Andrew Mwenda says the church needs to stand against all those who want to use the name of the church to commit atrocities. Bishop Mwenda further says it takes a lot of time and discipline for one to become a preacher, and that people should be careful with who they follow as their church leaders. And among those who have been ordained is former Reverend Beatrice Mbulo, who is now ordained as bishop, and former pastors Francis Chela, Norbert Mwetwa, and J.C. Mwetwa, who have now been ordained as reverends.
The church has over the years come under attack, as can be seen through the increase in the number of people purporting to be men of God and claiming that they are anointed to do miracles and perform signs and wonders. And speaking at the ordination of candidates at Capital Impact Church in Lusaka Friday, Evangelical Fellowship of Zambia Executive Director Bishop Andrew Mwenda says there is need for the church to stand up and defend God's word from those who are trying to take advantage of the church.
Lawlessness, completely. Another will come up and just works up and he believes that he's now an apostle. Suddenly, we call him an apostle. There is no office of apostle, bishopric, and etc. that does not come without a process. Never follow a man who has no history. The Bible says in Genesis 37, this is the history of Jacob. Any man who doesn't have a history, and you don't know his history, be careful. There's a process. Lawlessness. You turn this side, he's wearing a collar of some kind. You turn this side, he's wearing a collar. He doesn't even know what it means to be a bishop. All he thinks about is bishop is being a big shot.
Meanwhile, Barak Ministries International founder, Prophetess Elfreda Faith, has spoken to the need for men and women of God to keep pure in all they do.
So we live the gospel, so that when people see the glory of God over our lives, they are attracted. They want what we have. They can't achieve it out there. It's so difficult to achieve these days. But if they see you achieving, and yet they can't achieve, they will follow you. They will come and say, where is your God? Yes. Everybody's crying, you are not crying. Where is your God? Amen. I've gone through many challenges in life, but God has always taken me across over them.
And among those who have been ordained is former Reverend Beatrice Mbulo, who has now been ordained as bishop, and former pastors Francis Chela, Norbert Mwetwa, and J.C. Mwetwa, who have now been ordained as reverends.
I will give myself wholly to the word of God, so that I might present myself approved of God, a worker who does not need to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth.
Being watchful that you neither offend nor cause others to offend, ordering your life in your home, the church, and society, so as to enhance the role to which you have been called. I charge you therefore to walk in the Spirit, demonstrating godly commitment, obedience, love, sacrifice, and service all the days of your life. May the Lord bless you.
Prudence Jota reporting for Camnet TV News.
You're watching Camnet News. We take our first set of commercials. When we return, we have more interesting stories. Stay with us.
From time immemorial, we have had different types of lighting options, from those that can burn down our investments in minutes to those that dig holes in our pockets due to constant replacement and huge consumption of our ZESCO units. Savenda Electric introduces the new and advanced electric bulb with cutting-edge technology of LED that has low power consumption, gives out bright white light, and lasts up to 25,000 hours. Savenda Electric manufactures all types of LED light, like plastic LED fluorescent tubes, down lights, ceiling lights, outdoor fittings, and solar street lights made to customer specifications. Let's live on the bright side of life by choosing the wide range of Zavenda electric lighting solutions that are available in all leading stores and supermarkets countrywide. For orders, call 0962 642 490 or email jnbunda@savenda.com or pchabula@savenda.com.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. RenGlow, your smart irrigation partner.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying on. We continue with the news. The Youth Movement for Positive Change in Zambia has appealed to government to be more realistic when addressing issues affecting the young people. Reacting to a statement made by President Hakainde Hichilema recently that Zambians complain on social media, Organization National Chairman Felix Piri says majority of young people across the country can only stop complaining once government starts providing responsive solutions to their needs. Meanwhile, Mr. Piri has urged the young people across the country to use most of their valuable time on social media complaining, but stand up and become self-independent so that they do not become vulnerable in the hands of politicians.
Yes, step up. Kudandaula too much by social media. Kukachachape in social media, ichi. Come forward, become a small investor. Become a small investor. I scan these platforms, I see 02 guys are hammering, and what they're doing is just talk.
This statement made by President Hakainde Hichilema recently raised debate, with some viewing it as a mockery while others claiming its failure by the UPND administration to provide a permanent solution for the youths in terms of empowerment. Youth unemployment in Zambia remains a major concern. The high rates of unemployment amongst the youths has been attributed to the poor performance of the economy over the years. After being ushered into office, the UPND administration increased the Constituency Development Fund (CDF) so that young people through forming cooperatives can be self-sustainable. And reacting to this recent statement made by the president that most youths spend most of their time on social media complaining, the Youth Movement for Positive Change Zambia has called on the government to provide a realistic solution. The organization chairperson Felix Piri notes that majority of youths continue to complain because they have not seen realistic solutions.
I also want to appeal to the government to be realistic, because the complaints may not just stop now. If nothing is done to the solutions, give them the youths what they need, probably they'll stop complaining. And to become a small investor, it's not just a dream. You must be given a favorable environment there which allows you to tap into there and begin to move. So we are appealing to all stakeholders and everyone just to help and to work together so that the young people should stop complaining. They need solutions, and this is an urgent issue.
Meanwhile, Mr. Piri has urged the youths across the country not to use most of their valuable time on social media complaining, but stand up and become self-independent so that they do not become vulnerable in the hands of politicians.
It must also realize that it's not just about complaining, it's about taking up a step. There are these opportunities for the CDF, and of which they've been revised now. If it was a problem and hard for one to access the funds then before the amendment. Now that the amendments have been done, and it shall be easy. So it's an opportunity given again in another. It's a second chance given to us or to the youths to step forward.
Miriam Kaimba reporting for Camnet TV News.
Thanks, Miriam. There, the Hotel and Catering Association of Zambia has called for the law that will mandate the association to regulate hospitality industries. HCAZ President Christopher Nsenje says enacting a law that will enable the association to regulate the industry will ensure harmony in the sector. Mr. Nsenje also says the current licensing system is still tedious, in some cases duplicated, and has since suggested that the Ministry of Tourism and Finance do a review and see how the permits could be removed or others be merged. Meanwhile, government says the hotels and lodging facilities are key players in the growth of the tourism sector. Tourism Director Planning and Information Charles Mweshi said the government has initiated a number of programs aimed at enhancing the performance of the tourism sector. The duo was speaking at Hotel and Catering Association Annual General Meeting in Lusaka.
Friday, 28th April 2023, the Hotel and Catering Association of Zambia held its annual general meeting at the Lusaka's Malungushi International Conference Center. The association used the occasion to ask the government for a law that will mandate the association to regulate the hospitality industry. Association President Christopher Nsenje says enacting a law that will enable the association to regulate the industry will help ensure harmony in the sector. He also says the current licensing system is still tedious and that some cases duplicated, thus suggesting that the Ministry of Tourism and Finance undertake a review to see how some permits could be removed and others merged.
The work of us as an association, we work with you to ensure that we question the quality of students that go out in the industry and make sure that we give you the right quality of students. We are like and with you. Catering contracts in mines, guest of honor, it has come to the attention of the association that some of the catering contracts to mines are given to foreigners. You have seen the potential in this room of people with past experience. Why can't we empower?
Meanwhile, the government has acknowledged that hotels and lodging facilities are a key player in the growth of the tourism sector. The Ministry of Tourism, Director Planning and Information, said the government has initiated a number of programs aimed at enhancing the performance of the tourism sector.
Or invest in the tourism. This is why the reason being that you are subjected to a list of licenses. At the minimum, you go away with about 36 licenses, and that's not the small number. Mr. President, I'm equally happy that you did indicate that the local authorities are here, because when you invest in the tourism sector, a number of licenses will come from the local authorities. I'm happy to inform you that the government, we are working in conjunction with the business development authority so that we will streamline the licensing regime in the tourism sector. Where we are now, we are identifying a number of business registrations that pertain to this license so that they can be harmonized.
And during the same event, Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit, DMMU, Director in charge of Operations, Paul Samboko, commended the association for a donation of linen valued at 500,000 kwacha.
To commend the Hotel and Catering Association of Zambia for coming to the aid of the Zambian people by providing this donation. This donation will also go a long way towards assisting victims of other disasters that we are likely to experience going forward. And my assurance to the Hotel and Catering Association of Zambia is that the Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit the office of the Vice President will account for each and every donated item that we receive.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
We take another break. When we return, we have sports and international news.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. RenGlow, your smart irrigation partner.
Welcome back. In the international news, the Kenyan commander of the East African Community Region Force deployed to halt the advance of an armed group in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo has resigned. In his resignation letter, Major General Jeff Nyaga said he was leaving because of concerns over his safety after consistent harassment by forces he described as mercenaries. He also spoke about the impact of well-orchestrated and financed negative media campaigns against him personally, but also making false accusations about the regional forces' alleged complacency in its handling of the M23 militia. Here is a roundup of international news.
The Kenyan commander of the East African Community Regional Force, deployed to halt the advance of an armed group in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, has resigned. Major General Jeff Nyaga says he is leaving because of concerns for his safety, after consistent harassment by forces he describes as mercenaries. In his resignation letter, he also speaks about the impact of what he describes as well-orchestrated and financed negative media campaigns, both against him personally, but also making false accusations about the regional forces' alleged complacency in its handling of the M23 militia. The group took up arms in 2021, conquering large swathes of territory in the DRC's North Kivu province. There are thousands of soldiers, including from Kenya, Uganda, Burundi and South Sudan, in the force. They're tasked with trying to calm deadly tensions fueled by the armed groups in the region, where the embattled population is impatient for effective peace.
People in Libya's western city of Zawiya protested Thursday against militia groups they accuse of recruiting migrants. Angry residents gathered in the city center, blocking roads and demanding the expulsion of migrants, whom they blame for the breakdown of order. The process of expatriate work, whether African or non-African, is regulated because many expatriate workers are working in smuggling, selling contraband, and also working in militias that kidnap and threaten people. Zawiya, some 45 kilometers west of the capital Tripoli, is a key departure point for migrants seeking to cross the Mediterranean for Europe, and many seek work there while awaiting the sea crossing.
Tunisian President Kais Saied on Thursday appointed a new ambassador to Syria following thawing ties with the Asian country recently. The new ambassador, diplomat Mohamed Mahabdi, was given his credential by President Kais Saied during a ceremony at the Carthage Palace. The two countries had severe diplomatic relations in 2012 after the start of the war in Syria. I swear by Almighty God to do everything in my power with sincerity and devotion to carry out the sacred national duty in the best way possible, with his responsibilities as supreme leader in the best interest of the country, in respect of the Constitution and the laws of the country. In 2012, Tunisia expelled Syria's ambassador over the repression of opponents of the Syrian President Bashar al-Assad at the outset of the country's civil war.
We now look at sports news. The Chess Federation of Zambia President Leslie Chikose has urged chess players that are taking part in a 4-day chess Zambia Youth and Schools Championship in Lusaka at the Olympic Youth Development Center to put in their best Chikosa says this will see winners being incorporated into the youth national team and represent the country on the international stage, among the notables the Commonwealth Games in South Africa. And Chikosa has thanked government for creating an enabling environment for the sport to grow, hoping that many people will come on board and support the growth of the sport. And speaking as guest of honor, National Olympic Committee and Commonwealth Games President says the commitment that has been shown by the Chess Federation deserves commendation. Foloko says Zambia has the potential to produce world-class players, making Zambia a powerhouse of different sporting disciplines. Let's look at this.
A 4 days Chess Zambia Youth Schools Championship of 9 rounds per player has kicked off in Lusaka at the Olympic Youth Development Center. The championship, which has been organized by the Chess Federation of Zambia, encompasses players in the categories of under 18, 16, 12, 10 and under 8, and it has attracted over 180 players. Among the schools that are participating are the Indian School of Lusaka, the American School and the Italian School, among others. Speaking during the official opening of the championship, Federation President Leslie Chikosa says the championship is aimed at picking the best players across the country and groom them into grandmasters. He says chess is a mind sport which instills patience and a creative mind to the players, which in turn enhances their academic performance.
The importance of this tournament is that we are very much aware as the Chess Federation of Zambia that these players come from different schools, different environments, community schools, government schools, private schools, where they have their own tutors. And now they have come here to prove that they are the best, they are ready to compete at national level, and they are going to gain certain benefits from the Chess Federation of Zambia. One of the benefits that they are going to gain is that they are going to have a national rating, meaning that they will be able to look at the rating and say, in Zambia, I'm on number 10, number 12 in Zambia. Number 2, they are going to have a world rating, meaning that even if they move from here, they go to any other country, they will be able to be rated to say this is a rating of this player.
And United Party for National Development UPND Youth Chairman Gilbert Liswaniso, whose daughter was among the players, says the sport can be lucrative once discipline and focus are applied.
Achieve your goal number 1 is about discipline. And discipline, it will make this sport to be known everywhere. And you as our children also are going to be known by everybody. So expecting from you that as you go to Egypt, we want you to carry the flag of Zambia. And you have seen that through our President Chilema, they emphasize that every talent can bring food on the table. And want to support every talent. As a National Youth Chairman also, we are going to support, Mr. President, we're going to support you to ensure that all the problems that you are facing under our office will come and partner so that our children also can benefit at the end of the day.
National Olympic Committee and Commonwealth Games President Alfred Foloko says the committee is committed to developing sport at all levels, further stating that the government has created an enabling environment for various sports disciplines to thrive.
The National Olympic Committee and Commonwealth Games fully supports and encourages events that promote sports development and provide opportunities for young people to participate in sports. I'm happy, like alluded to by our Secretary General, gender is well represented here. Congratulations. We recognize the value of sport in developing our youth into well-rounded individuals who can positively impact society. We are committed to promoting and developing sports at all levels, and we believe that events like this are essential in identifying and nurturing talent for the future.
The championship is expected to close on Monday, with the winners likely to represent Zambia at the Egypt Games and the Commonwealth in South Africa. Patrick Soko, Camnet Sport.
Well, that's where we leave it this evening. The headlines once again. CHISHIMBA KAMBWILI castigates President Hakainde Hichilema for shunning the wreath-laying ceremony on Kenneth Kaunda Day. The Agriculture Institute of Zambia warns against misinformation on agriculture. The church expresses worry over infiltration of fake preachers. In international news, head of East African Peacekeeping Force in the Democratic Republic of Congo resigns, citing harassment. And in sports news, Zambia Youth and Schools Chess Championship kickstarts at the Olympic Youth Development Center in Lusaka. We look at the Camnet verse of the day. This is coming from James 1, verse 27, and it reads, "Religion that God our Father accepts as pure and faultless is this, to look after orphans and widows in their distress and to keep oneself from being polluted by the world." Thank you so much for watching Camnet TV. My name is Sharon Kalimbula. Good night.